Hey everybody, welcome back to this Let's Play of Final Fantasy II for the PlayStation. I am Drak, and we're starting a party! Thanks to your bravery, peace has finally returned. Because we beat the Emperor of Palamecia! The war has ended. Let us celebrate. Exactly. Dig out the pints of ale! Or 8-bit dancing. That's okay too. Actually, this is one of the things that I like when Final Fantasy tries to do, is they try to actually create a stage with their sprites. So, it's so cute! But yes, so we defeated the Emperor of Palamecia in the Cyclone last part, and now we are celebrating because we did it. We ended this war, the rebellion has won. What else is there to do in this game? Wait, who turned off the music? Wait, what? Your Highness! Leon the Dark Knight has claimed himself as the Emperor! Told you that guy was evil. Batman has become the enemy. Oh no! When is the suffering going to end? But what can we do now? And who's Leon? That's because if you've been paying attention since part 1, you would know who Leon is. Alright, party's over. Stuff to do. Alright, so let's ask around and see what's going on. Leon is Maria's brother. Yes. You're not going to fight him, are you? Well, we've got no choice if he's the Emperor of Palamecia now. And Maria has no problem with it. That's why we must go ourselves. This is personal, serious business. I expected that answer from you, but please be careful. Well, we're not taking you, so we will be being careful. Love you, Gordon, in this role, not when you're a party member. The Dark Knight is Leon, and he was your friend. Yes? We already stated this. I'll try to persuade him somehow. He must be being controlled by the Emperor's magic. Of course, that makes a whole lot of sense. The Dark Knight must be in Palamecia as the next Emperor. Well, you heard it, boys and girls. We're taking out Batman. Bring every gadget you can think of. Castle Palamecia is nestled among the mountains. You cannot reach it on foot. Oh. Does this mean what you think it means? Maybe. I heard the Dark Knight proclaimed himself the next Emperor. Yes. Yes, he did. He's a power-hungry, mad person. Yeah, I've heard enough of Pavel's bluffing about how he snuck in there. You've heard of it too. So now you guys have kind of figured out, who do I need to talk to next? Because Pavel the Ninja has said he snuck into Palamecia. So at that point, he knows how to get in, maybe how to get out. And now you see what the next part of our story is. We're going to go to Castle Palamecia and defeat the Dark Knight. That's right, DC Comics. We're going to kill Batman. Ben Affleck doesn't get his shot at being Batman because he will be dead. Dead, I tell you! Alright, let's go talk to Pavel and see how he got in. And there's a guest here. Oh, look, it's Sid. What? We finally defeated the Emperor, and now we got this Dark Knight to get to? Jeez. And eventually the Dark Knight's gonna rise. Oh, I see what you did there, Drak. The Cyclone got me in Paloom. My old bones aren't acting as I want them to. Alright, so Sid can't pilot the airship anymore. And he's not moving very well. This is not good. Are you alright, Sid? I'm in this pathetic state now, but my airship's as scratchless as she ever was. Cool. Now listen, I'll let you use her until I get better. You got that? We won't scratch it at all, I promise. Take good care of her. Sid, no, don't! And now we've had our third casualty. Sid now joins Joseph and Middu on the death count. These were good stories back in the day. The one thing I will not complain about that much with Final Fantasy II is the story. The story is really good. Considering it really is kind of a Star Wars ripoff. Because so many have to die in order for the main characters to get it. Alright, so now we know our next kind of mission. In order to get into Palamecia, since it's in the mountains, we're not going to be able to go in from underwater or through water. We're going to have to go in via the air. So, yay! We finally get to unlock the airship in this game. And it is so late in the game, it's not even worth it. But we're going to go grab the airship. And yes, get attacked in the process. Because that's how we roll! Now, a lot of people might actually be asking, if you haven't seen any of the parts before, then, first of all, welcome. You must be new here. Who is Leon? Leon was the fourth character you had at the beginning of the game before all of you got separated. Therian, Gus, and Maria went to Altair. Now they're saying basically that Palamecian guards picked up Leon and raised him to be the Dark Knight. They raised him to be Batman. Almost makes you wonder what other evil deeds they've done. Well, if you consider Batman an evil deed.
Oh, I see what you did there, Drak. And now I will allow you to die.
I can't help but make these jokes, guys. The only thing I haven't done is, where's Maria? But now I've done it. So we're good. I have a feeling these next couple of parts are going to be riddled with this. With Dark Knight references, because now we're going to Castle Palamecia to beat the Dark Knight. And trust me, Leon is not the only one, so we might make more Dark Knight jokes as we go along in the Final Fantasy series. Please enjoy yourself along the way. Now, people might also be wondering, you're saying, this is so late in the game. We don't have much left, guys. So getting the airship this late in the game, I mean, we got the airship in the previous game at about the halfway point. Here, we get it like 90% through the game. We're really that close. But now we have Sid's airship. So at this point, our next destination is very clear. We're going to pass Castle Cassillon. We're not going to go talk to the Chocobos. Instead, we're going to go land in Castle Palamecia. And there it is. I actually looked for a place to land because at this point, it is always a good idea to save just before you walk into a dungeon. Why? Because you might die. And at that point, you don't want to have to do that all over again. Thankfully, I don't keep deaths on record. If I die, I take that off. I promise. And obviously, as you can tell, the grinding has happened off screen as well. So everybody's kind of sitting at about 4,500 HP. And there we go. We have now landed in Castle Palamecia. And if you guys weren't tired of the Cyclone music, or, you know, whenever this tune got used, well, you're getting it one more time. So the goal here is to confront the Dark Knight and either convince him of his wrongs or defeat him so that Palamecia doesn't have an emperor and doesn't rise up again to start the war. So, makes sense, right? Now, while we are doing this, obviously it is a dungeon, so I will try and interject some other dialogue. I'm trying to remember what we talked about in the last part. I think we were talking about Final Fantasy 13 too, where I was at in that. I'm not that much farther along. I've now kind of discussed or discovered an alternate timeline, one where we get more of a clear spec on how things are turning out in the game. And I've also had a timeline where, because if everybody remembers, I loved how they introduced Snow, and he was 10 years older and obviously much wiser. In this one, where I was just at, I just barely got into meeting Snow. Now, I praise 13 a lot. I still think it's got a very solid storyline. As far as characters go, Snow would be the least of my favorites. He really would. And not because of his freaking summon, guys. Yes, I thought that was stupid, but it's Japan, so fine. But my problem with him was more along the lines of the character has not changed, if that makes sense. He hasn't grown. He hasn't not grown. You know, he hasn't gone backwards. He just is. And that's why I didn't like him in 13 either, is that he did have a good arc to go through, but that was more development for Hope than it was for him. He doesn't really change throughout the entirety of the game. There's a point where he kind of gets depressed. You know, I'm putting up the quotations here. Depressed. But nothing really changes. He goes back to being Snow he was before. Still brash, still, you know, raising up the heroic smile, kind of things like that. And while that's something to be admired, I actually like characters that do go through some kind of an arc, you know. I actually do want to see something phase them. And it just seems to me like Snow's arcs, where he's confronted by the stuff that he's done through trying to be the hero, didn't really cement into the character. And at that point, I know somebody's going to raise up and go, "But Drak, I know you like legit heroes, and, like, Snow's one of them." No, he's not. No, he's not. He's not a hero, he's a dunderhead. The reason I say that is, yeah, sure, he's willing to do the heroic action, but the last thing he's thinking about, he's kind of like Yusuke Urameshi here. He's going to go in, he's going to try and do it all in one hit, and if it's not going to work, then he's done. There's a difference between that and a legit hero. That's just being stupid. His character is right in line with being a genuine hero if he had, like, an additional wisdom to that. Which I would think I got. See how I segued back? What I think would have happened in 13-2 is that we would have gotten a wiser Snow. Nope. Same BS, different costume. It's the same brash, think with your fists guy that I had in the first game. And so at that point, I'm not all that happy. In fact, I actually think some of the exchanges with Noel were kind of deserved. And even Sarah, who's going to marry the guy, agreed. You know, no brash actions until we can get this done. Oh, alright. And then as soon as they leave, alright, let's get to work! Did she not just tell you? So yeah, probably the first legit beef I've had with the game, aside from the time travel. It's just, Snow hasn't changed. Where Hope did, Hope became, you know, where Hope was a naive kid, but he was still learning in that game. He is learning. He's getting better. He's evolving as a character. Now we get an educated Snow. One that's actually trying to consider all possibilities. Snow, nothing changed. Which kind of worries me because, you know, eventually I do want to see people like Saz, Vanille, Fang in this game. I probably want to see Vanille and Fang, and I'm fine with that, but just given what they're doing with that. But Saz, I want to see where he's at. And so that kind of worries me, because if Snow hasn't changed, then maybe Saz hasn't changed at all. And actually, I would like to see him change, because his son's back. You know, so now I get quality dad time with Saz and Dodge. I want to see this actually happen. But because of Snow now, I'm worried about it. So that's where I'm standing. Again, I'm not too far into the story, I don't think. And right now, the gameplay, I don't really have any complaints with it. It feels much more fluid than 13's. So The combat system feels faster to some extent. I do like the fact that with the Crystarium, and when you expand it, you get the choice of what you get next. You can unlock a roll, you can unlock another ATB gauge. That's a good idea. But I don't see a whole lot being done with it, if that makes sense. So, we'll see. We'll see what I think of it later. But on to the thing that people wanted me to talk about, because I get this all the time. Where are you at in this game? Dragon Warrior 2. I think I'm pretty close to the end. I did the whole Draco Lord's Castle, and right now I've just been looking around on getting some secret items. So, for example, I've been trying to get some of the 5 seals. I got the gold key and the jail key, so that I'm able to unlock some doors around the world. And I think where I was at, I was just getting ready to unlock a bunch of doors to get the treasures and solve some other mysteries. Thus far, I'm liking it. There are a couple of points where it got really difficult, but I stuck it through, and I'm still liking it. I don't mind it when an RPG gets difficult. If it gets stupidly difficult, then I do. Which, you know, I think I've said even before, you know, some of the RPGs that I do love had stupidly difficult gameplay. Xenosaga is the first one that I can mention. Episode 2's gameplay was just atrocious. But the story was good enough that I was willing to muscle through it. So there you go. But yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think of something overall that I can say. Not really. I mean, I didn't have a whole lot of story development in the stuff I did. I still think it was a great idea to have Draco Lord's grandson say, you know, I'll help you, because I want to crack at you. That was a good idea, but I haven't seen anything after that. And so it's really kind of hard to say, oh yeah, this is a great concept, because nothing's really been done with it. So I'm enjoying it, and I think I've even said in the previous part, I am considering going to Dragon Warrior 3, or Dragon Quest 3, whatever it is. So that's my next thing. I will pick that up and see what I think of it. The way that it's going to kind of go, guys, is I'm willing to endure a bad game in there. So, like, I'll keep going, and then if I hit a really bad game, then it's kind of, okay, this series is now on a trial basis. I will play it through and see if this improves or continues to create this problem. And if the third game has, you know, if I have 2 games in a row that have been bad, and the third one comes along and it's just worse, that might be the end of it for me. But until that like, if I get a good game right after a bad one, that's going to be fine. So for people who are, like, worried that I'm just going to drop it as soon as I hit a bad game, no, not at all. Nope, it just kind of goes on a probation, and then I go into the next one. If it's improved, then fine, you know? At that point I say, okay, well, Dragon Warrior 5, or wherever I'm at that time, wasn't the greatest thing, but the next one improved on it. Because I understand that game series can have their ups and downs. I mean, for crying out loud, we're actually getting ready to go into Jak 2 on the Drak and Shadow channel. We did Jak and Daxter, the Precursor Legacy, and I loved that game. And I don't like Jak 2. I do not like the aspects of it. So much so that I played a little bit of Jak 3, and I don't think I had major problems with it, but yeah, Jak 2 had every problem with it. It's not a good game in my opinion. They made a lot of bad choices. So that's kind of the thing. I will endure a bad game as long as the next game I know is going to be good. A good example here is, I don't like Final Fantasy 2. I'm not a big fan of 3 either, but 3's a little bit better, in my opinion. Just because one of the biggest problems that I had with 2 was the stat, or only improving the stats, and that got improved in Final Fantasy 3. And this is actually, that reminds me, this is another question that I have been getting. So, obviously, if people hadn't figured it out, after this game is done, we're going to Final Fantasy 3. But Drak, how are you going to play it? Are you going to play the original NES version? Well, given my track record here, I mean, I should be playing the original NES Final Fantasy 1, and I didn't. And this, I could have been playing the Japanese NES version. I didn't. I played the PlayStation versions just because I like the 16-bit-esque sprites. So the same thing is going to be true here. I'm not going to be taking on the 8-bit version. I'm going to be taking on the remastered US version. Not on the DS. Thankfully, Sony has it as well, so we will probably be playing the PSP version, which I do like a little bit better than the DS version. Sure, there's not a whole lot of difference between the two of them, except one simple thing. They tried way too hard to augment the stylus into the gameplay. And it wasn't needed. And in fact, I think it actually kind of slows down the gameplay a little bit because they tried to say, okay, well, you know, you can use your stylus to set the commands. I don't need to. I'm pressing buttons the entire time. So yes, we will be hitting the PlayStation Portable version of Final Fantasy III. Yes, it's 3D. That's fine. It's still, at least from what I understand, the same story. So, at that point, we're not really losing anything from it. And then I actually also did get another interesting request that I do want to kind of address. Am I ever going to cover Dissidia? I hadn't actually thought of it. I've played Dissidia. To those who don't know, Dissidia is kind of a Final Fantasy fighting game. And it allows for you to play as the main hero from each Final Fantasy game. I know there's an expansion, guys. I'll get there. Because I actually haven't played it. But you get the opportunity to play as the main hero of any of the Final Fantasy games. Up to 10. Sorry, I forgot. 12 is not included in it. I think 12 is included in Do a Day set. But... So the question is, am I going to cover it? I hadn't thought about it, guys, but yeah, I might. I would like you to know the characters first before I do so. So that at that point, you know, we can actually have a discussion who is the better main hero, not just from Dissidia's perspective, but also from our perspective as players, kind of thing. So I think, yeah, we'll tackle it. Just not immediately. And then I've already answered the other question that I do get from time to time. Are you going to handle all the side ventures? I will make it clear one more time. I'm open to it. I just want to look into them. Because, I mean, I've already also said that to the people who have asked, are you going to cover 11 and 14? Probably not. Not because I hate them. It's because they're MMOs. And MMOs take a lot of time to go through, and so at that point, you know, what am I going to do? Show me grinding? It doesn't really sound like a worthwhile thing. So, no, we are not going to do 11. Maybe I'll try and supplement that with 10-2 or something like that. 12 will be done. 14 will not. The other thing also, with the Dragon Warrior fans, yes, I heard, Dragon Warrior 10, the MMO, is coming here, because it did well enough, or Square Enix is doing well enough. Am I going to cover it? Probably not. Again, MMOs are huge, guys. If I cover it, it's definitely going to be in my spare time, and it's not going to be anywhere near as fast. And I'm not going to be judging it on Dragon Warrior standards. I will be judging it on... or Dragon Quest standards. I'll be judging it on MMO standards. Because it's trying to be an MMORPG. Same thing applies to 11 and 14. And MMOs are huge, guys. I haven't actually, I am an MMO player. I play World of Warcraft. I played the Old Republic. Those are pretty much the only ones I've played. And I like them, don't get me wrong, but I'm taking a break, because they take a lot of time and effort, you know? So if I do, it's going to be very much in my spare time, and I won't be judging it on the series. I'm going to be judging it as an MMO. So it just doesn't seem fair to justify looking at it from from a Dragon Warrior perspective no, we'd have to judge it as an MMO. So yeah, that's where I'm standing on that matter. I hope that doesn't upset people, but that's just the way it is. MMOs are hard to cover and take a lot of time. And of course, my only comparison is World of Warcraft, which, yes, is one of the more successful of the MMOs. But a lot of people might ask, okay, well, compare it to Ultima Online. Never played it. I know, I'm an Ultima fan. I never played Ultima Online. Didn't have access to it. So, that's just my viewpoint. But that's actually going to do it for the week. So next week, we're going to continue on through Castle Palamecia and then confront Batman. I mean Leon. I mean the Dark Knight. But in the meantime, I am Drak, and this has been a Let's Play of Final Fantasy II for the PlayStation.